Okay, fellas, I've got to make a couple things clear here. A lot of people think that I came from the internet nerd world, and I didn't. I came from the real world out there. I was a player way back in the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up to through the late 90s. Okay, that's when I did my player level game, and I moved up into the pulling objects out of women, money, and cash in the late 90s, and then a little bit higher after 2002, somewhere in there. Yeah, because I got on the internet, found the Pimps Network 2001, so it was 2001, 2002. Okay, I'm not a pickup artist. When you guys use like words like how do you qualify, the pickup artists took that one, that type of thing from the pimps because pimps had to qualify. They had this thing called what they do. It was called an interview, okay, and that's where they qualify the girl. But whether or not she qualified or not, they would still try to pimp her out. So that just went to hell. So they kind of took that whole qualifying thing, and I I have trouble with not to be insulting, but when you see these geeks and nerds and goobers trying to qualify a female that's way above them, it's just kind of stupid. Let's just work on you getting some fucking pussy to begin with. Okay? I learned to qualify women because I was using them, I was a player. And I wasn't to play broke ass women. Okay? It was better for me to play women that had money, that had degrees, and all that kind of stuff. All right? So, this whole qualifying thing, you guys just need to forget about that and work on just getting you a female on your team. Don't worry about the rest of it. A lot of guys, what really is strange to me is you have basically these. When I got on the So Suave, I saw these unattractive males, these males who weren't designed for the breeding pool. And that's what I said about nerds. They're not designed for the breeding pool. If you look at their bodies, they have small bodies, skinny little dweeby bodies and those big heads and like little mushroom, little faces down here and these big brains up here. Okay? And they're trying to go up on the hottest chicks they see. Then those would be the girls they had, like type of girls they had crushes on in high school. So obviously they have not matured enough to get over that stuff. Okay, I talked about there is a caste level in this game, and when I first learned about it, I was pissed off too. I hadn't thought about it. I knew that back in the '90s, before I got on the internet, I knew that to get the hot women, you got to be hot. You got to make yourself hot. That I already knew. That's just plain logic. If you look like a fucking dweeb or a geek or a nerd, forget the hot chicks. They're gonna like you. You're wasting your goddamn time. If you're like a nice looking nice guy, you can forget it too. You're wasting your goddamn time. They go for the coolest males out there. They're basically alpha type males. Guys who are leaders, okay? That's the unfortunate part. So this game does have a caste system to it. Like in India, they have the caste system based on that pineal dot thing they do. And I don't know if it's still in place. I just talked to an Indian lady. She kind of said it was kind of going away. But in every caste system, like in the last show, I talked about what happened in the history of Mexico. I'm a history buff, and I talked about. I didn't mention how there were blacks that were helping the Mexicans get their independence from Spain. Google a man named Yanga, Yanga, if you're a Mexican American, if you want to learn some real history, or put a search in YouTube for Yanga, Yanga, and there's even a town devoted to him down there. So, anyway, I was dating this one Mexican American chick, one of them that I dated, rather words. She was the one that had some color in her skin. Her father was like Spaniard. Her brother had Spaniard skin, but you could tell they were Mexican Americans. She went to Mexico with her mother, and she noticed that because her mother was lighter skinned, that her mother got better treatment at a restaurant. And I understand there's still a color caste system in place down there. I've watched the Mexican American TV, and I do notice it that all the actors they put on there are basically Spaniard looking, the white European ones, and I do see that caste system in place. If you're Mexican American, you probably are aware of that yourself. We have the same caste system in the black community. The lighter skinned ones are usually on top. You see them as being leaders and all that kind of stuff in our community. I do appreciate just true blackness myself, but I do notice that caste system in all different cultures out there. So in the game, there's a caste system in the game. The pretty people tend to hang out with the pretty people. Pretty much it. Us less attractive people, we tend to hang out with people who are less attractive. Okay? That's just the norm. Now, you can buck that norm, but that's why I'm giving you ways to buck the norm. You got to have the confidence of the pretty people. And I'm talking about the alpha males, the tough, the guys who are unattractive, but they got that tough aura. Tatted up and all muscled out, and the bad boy, the biker, not bikers, they attract a lower level class of people, but I'm talking about, the guys who look tough, and the bouncers and all that kind of stuff that women like, okay? So that's why I tell you guys to hit the gym. That's why I tell you to work on your confidence. That's why I provided you with tools for all this stuff. We'll teach you how to dance. Because women also, I've learned, like good dancers, men that can dance well. I'm not talking about skipping out there on the floor by yourself, I'm shuffling. I'm not talking about that, getting all sweaty. But men that can dance sensual and sexy, they like. That's why Elvis Presley was so famous back in his days, because he learned how to move his hips like the black folks. That's where he got that from, okay? His trainers, I should say. That's where they got it from, okay? So he was out there wiggling his hips, and that's what attracted his following. That's what's known for him, besides his good singing. I actually like the singing myself. I watched his movies as a kid. I recall being at my grandmother's house, and she said something derogatory about him because I wanted to watch one of his movies, and she said he wouldn't let a black person shine his shoes. I don't think that's true of Elvis Presley. He seemed to be more down to earth. I understand he had Cherokee blood, and or Mlungeon or something like that, either Mlungeon or Cherokee. So that's why he had that dark coloring, that dark hair. Same with Jim Jones, who was also a leader that led people down to Guyana and got them to commit suicide. A bad leader, I should say. But at their time period, having that dark skin and being Caucasian actually worked for them. It worked really well for them. Elvis Presley used to be called the nigger something or another when he first got getting started. He had that N word attached to him, hillbilly nigger or something like that. But in the game, you'll find that with this caste system in place, people who are good looking prefer other people who are good looking. And these people who are TFLers, I'm not saying that they're dead wrong about what they're saying, because they do have some valid points. It's just that they've given up. They've given up totally. And I guess that one Brand Jam Braden guy, he only wants a certain kind of woman. What comes out of his mouth is just plain sickness. But he has to recognize that, there is a caste system in the game. And it is based on looks with that caste system. Okay? Looks and feel. And that's the option that the TFLers do not see. Feel. Okay? And that's where you have an end road. If you don't have the looks, you can get in on the feel side of it. Okay? And that's why you want to be super confident. Okay? And you can't fake it, because women can smell the real thing. And that's where the PUAs don't understand. They haven't got, maybe they do understand, the gurus do understand it, and they're just pushing their shit to make more money without giving guys real tools. I don't know. I hope they really understand it, because if they don't, then they're off on a wrong track. Because these guys who are studying this stuff don't feel. They don't feel to women. And some of the guys that I've noticed in the new community that are coming out, they're actually attractive fellas. But they've got that shit going on in their heads. They're kind of twisted inside. they don't see themselves being attractive, or they're nice guys. They have that feminine aura about them, that female energy that turns women off. They're soft, they're weaker, so they don't feel good. And if you don't feel good to a woman, you get none. And that's where vibe comes in. One of the emails that I deleted and blocked the fella, it was the same fella that's been trying to get in the channel, and YouTube brings out the weird people. These people are really weird. People like Eddie, they're just weird. To create all these screen names, I don't get it. But anyway, he was talking about trying to talk about vibes again. Okay, because the one fella, he just doesn't get it about vibes. That, I guess, probably because a lot of people who are in denial about stuff, that's when they start questioning stuff. And yes, women do feel. Okay, that's why I urge that fellow to go out and take a poll, and I'm gonna wait for him to come back and report his findings. Okay, I could take a poll for you guys, and we can talk to women about it too, how they feel about the feel of a man. And then I could talk about how a man smells, because women are big into smell. If you Google or look on YouTube, you can find some information on that. They did some scientific studies, how women can smell the right mate for them. That's what nature gave them, okay? So that the race could become stronger. Many years ago, there was a Irish guy. He called himself a Black Irish because he had a black afro, and he was a white dude, Irish dude. He was also a dancer. He would dance in local productions around here. I didn't go the path that he went down, the dance path. I did dance and acting, stuff like that. So I went more of the acting route, but I danced in the nightclubs, okay? I had this one girlfriend that I was dating named Susan. I dated Susie and Susan openly. They both were aerobic instructors. Susan won the most physically fit female contest here in Sacramento, and she won a bunch of beauty contests. She did bodybuilding. She was one of the women that actually looked attractive back in the 90s because she had she was Irish and Italian. So she had that body, and she was lean. She was 5'8". Brian, the Irish guy, he had a crush on her, and he was friends. He was a friend of the DJ guy that I eventually was talking to many years later. That reason why I met Jovina. He was DJing at our club, and he said, I always wanted Jovina just to notice him and say hi to him or smile at him. Anyway, they were friends. Rick was a DJ, and Brian was a dancer. And Susan was mine, 100% mine. 8 years and beyond. She just emailed me on Facebook, even though we've been apart for 16 years, something like that. Anyway, she made a comment. That's where I learned about pheromones. She said, my smell turned her on, Brian's did not. And Brian would get out there and wiggle around and do his body rolls all around the circle and arms up and down and get all hot and sweaty. That's why I'm against you guys doing all that shuffling shit, because it just makes you sweaty. And she said, I think he just burns his pheromones off. There's nothing that he does that he did for her. So anyway, in this caste system, women have a sense of smell and a sense of feel. That helps them find the right mates to breed with, so we don't breed weak human beings. And unfortunate part about it is nerds are not designed for the breeding pool, that level of the breeding pool. Okay? If you be honest with yourself. Because if you're come from the nerd mentality, your body's weaker and you'll produce a weaker child, according to nature. That's why I get you into the gym, help you guys get stronger, so you can fit into that breeding pool. So we have to recognize nature and then try to go around it.